Hello and welcome to the Golf Course Lawn Show. My name is Ron Henry and I'm here to help answer your lawn care questions. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. Super happy to have you here. The way this works is really simple. On your screen, you will see a chat box. In that chat box, you can enter your question, concern, comment of the day, and I work through them in the order that they come in. Now, sometimes I have the answer, sometimes I do not. But either way, we have an awesome time talking about lawn care and sometimes life. So guys, your calendar is not confusing you. It is Sunday and we are doing a live stream. I got quite a few emails after the live stream on Friday, questions about pre-emergent, about planning for pre-emergent for this fall. So I figured, you know what, I could just do this next Friday, but why not this afternoon? I've got some time to do it so we can chat a bit about that. As always, you can feel free to watch the content on YouTube, which is our primary platform, but you can also watch the show on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. So whichever one is best for you, feel free to participate. And again, I do work through the questions in the order they come in. Given this is a little bit impromptu, we'll see how long things go, but I figured I would just pop in really quick because it'd be easier just to make a quick video talking about the subject versus like answering a bunch of emails over and over and over again. All right. So we only got a couple people here. We have Mr. Hayes, who is has a question. He says, we live again. Well, I just put out humic acid, fertilizer, antifungal, and a herbicide. Planning on putting out Dimension and Carbonize in 3 weeks and aerating, no overseeding, weed management only. Nice. I like it. I like it. So there's nothing wrong with that at all, Mr. Hayes. I mean, you figure, weed management in the fall is, it's often not talked about enough, in my opinion. Oftentimes in the fall, especially if you have a cool season lawn, the thing that most folks are focused on is overseeding. If you have a warm season lawn, it's on trying to keep it green as long as possible before the lawn goes dormant. So, so the idea behind, the chat today is really just to talk about why pre-emergence is important, like what role it plays in your overall lawn care program, like how it's going to really help keep your lawn in tip-top shape. We always think about pre-emergent in the springtime, which is again most common time most people think to do it. But you have to remember, spring pre-emergent takes care of the weeds that we will deal with in the spring and summertime. So your crabgrass, spurge, those types of weed. The pre-emergent that we're going to be applying here in the next few weeks, early September, is really what you want to use to control like Poa annua, to do a lot to prevent that. And then some of your other cool season weeds like henbit, like just weeds that tend to flourish whenever temperatures are cooler. So although the fall is often looked at as a time to focus again on overseeding, on getting your lawn thickened up and keeping it green as long as possible, like fall pre-emergent is hugely important. It's a really big important part of just setting yourself up for success next year. So for example, I've had a couple of viewers that have that find the content, learn about it, and then they get into like the spring summer months, they neglect pre-emergent, and then even though they're doing a lot of the things correctly, meaning they're mowing, they are running a fertilization program, they're still spending quite a bit more time fighting weeds than they otherwise would have if pre-emergent were part of their program. So I figured this is like a little PSA, a little live show that's really going to be really focused around that topic. Again, take any other questions you guys have. I'm not sure how many folks will pop in, but the thing with your fall pre-emergent, again, and we're going to talk about for both cool season grass and warm season grass. So for warm season grass, the weed that we are trying to control, the one that's the most difficult to keep a handle on, especially in the spring, which you start preventing now, is a weed called annual bluegrass or Poa annua. Henbit, kind of a pain, but that's relatively easy to knock back. But Poa annua can be quite a bit unsightly if you're dealing with a warm season lawn, because you think about like lawns like Bermuda and most zoysia lawns. When temperatures get really cool, those lawns go dormant, so meaning they turn brown. And if you're watching any of my content over the years, you'll notice that come December timeframe, the lawn is largely brown, it's lost its color. And the only thing that's really green or bright green that you'll see in a lawn, in a Bermuda lawn or zoysia lawn, typically in the late fall and winter months, is Poa annua or annual bluegrass. And it's kind of a difficult weed to control once it's there. So that your best bet is really to prevent it. For cool season lawns, it's the same thing. As you get into the cooler times of the year, when soil temperatures are, low 70s trending cooler, that's when Poa annua, annual bluegrass, can begin to germinate. With cool season lawns, it's I don't know that it's necessarily as huge of a problem going into the fall, because most cool season turf grass still looks pretty good. You're still growing, you're still mowing it, looks decent. But whenever you get into the springtime, when Poa annua really begins to flower, that's when it tends to really stick out like a sore thumb, right? So even though for cool season folks, it's something you want to keep an eye on as well. So how do we prevent it? So the way you keep Poa annua or drastically reduce the amount of Poa annua that you're going to be dealing with in your lawn in the fall and also in the early spring, this applies to both cool season and warm season turf grass, is by using a specialized herbicide called pre-emergent. So kind of as the name implies, pre-emergent is a herbicide you apply, water it in, and it most of them, they form a barrier in the soil, and the idea is that they're able to kill the roots of plants as they begin to germinate. So when a seed begins to germinate, starts throwing roots, and the herbicide kills that. It interrupts that process, so no roots, no plant, and it dies, right? So you kind of stop the problem before it even shows up. Big thing is that for this to work, the product needs to be in the soil, applied in the soil prior to the conditions whenever, Poa annua is trying to find its way in the world, right? So for the fall, whenever your soil temps are getting in the low 70s, trending cooler, and you're kind of probably wondering, well, how do I know what my soil temps are? You can get a soil thermometer. I think you can go out and get like one of these. You can find them on Amazon fairly inexpensively. Or you can just get online and use Google and say, what is the average 5-day soil temp in my area? And what's probably going to come up is a website by Syngenta. They have I think it's called Greencast, and they track soil temperatures, pretty much all around the country. So you put your zip code in, it'll be able to tell you what the average soil temps are in your area. If you didn't want to go on spring for these, they're pretty inexpensive. $15, and you can do it yourself. But if you want to just use a public resource, you can obviously go that route. So when soil temps are in the low 70s, trending cooler, you want to have your pre-emergent out, is what I would tell you, because Poa annua really begins to germinate when temps are in the mid 60s. So again, kind of like the name implies, prior to the conditions when the weed's going to become a problem. We want to have our defense mechanism down to prevent that. So what are our options? When it comes to, well, we'll start with warm season turf grass. When it comes to warm season grass, you can use a pre-emergent, if you're talking about from a more budget perspective, called prodiamine. Prodiamine isn't a bad option. It's less expensive. As far as control for Poa annua, it's not as good as another option I'm going to tell you about. But as far as an option that will work for both warm season and cool season turf grass, prodiamine is an option you can use in the fall. The best option for warm season lawns for preventing Poa annua, in my opinion, is a pre-emergent called Specticle Flow. So this stuff is not inexpensive. Like, brace your wallet. It's a pricey product, but it's pricey for a reason, because I've tested a lot of different combinations of pre-emergents over the years. I've done everything from just prodiamine by itself, a couple rounds of prodiamine mixed with other herbicides, like other pre-emergents and post-emergent herbicides, to see what kind of results I can get. And while they work to an extent, they all produce varying levels of success as far as reducing the amount of Poa annua, the amount of annual bluegrass you have to deal with. Like, nothing really touches Specticle Flow. So if you got a warm season lawn and you have the budget to afford it, like, look no further than this. Just buy this, apply it next month, early September. You can do another application in early December, and then really Poa annua is not going to be a big problem in your lawn, really, in the fall and in the springtime. Again, excellent product. The thing with this product, though, is it's for warm season turf grass only. So if you got Kentucky bluegrass, ryegrass, fescue, you can't use Specticle Flow. This is for warm season lawns only. So if you've got a cool season lawn like your KBG, your fescue, your ryegrass, what do? So in that case, this is where prodiamine will be like the option that most commonly folks go with. The thing that you need to keep in mind, though, is that while Specticle, and again, we're kind of bouncing back and forth here, that one of the benefits of Specticle, in addition to its control, is that it has a very long residual. Prodiamine has a shorter one. So for prodiamine, you can say 3 months on the low end, and I'd say if you're fortunate, you might be able to get 4 months of prevention or control out of a prodiamine application. Depends on weather conditions, how much rainfall you're getting, like all these different factors that will influence how long your application of prodiamine lasts. What that means is, for cool season lawns, from a cool season brother and sister, is that you really should plan for multiple apps going into the fall. So I'd say if you're not overseeding your lawn, doing a pre-emergent app here in the next couple of weeks would be good for your first one. And then 4 to 6 weeks before you expect your first frost is when you would do your second app. And that's really going to be, a good program for drastically reducing the amount of Poa annua, of annual bluegrass, and other cool season weeds that you're going to be dealing with in your lawn. You're going to be fighting in the fall and also in the springtime. So what's the negative to doing all this, right? So I'm talking about all the benefits of using pre-emergent. What's the negatives? So negative, one concern, especially for cool season folks, because it's a lot more common practice for you guys, is overseeding. So the way pre-emergent works is that it's going to interrupt the germination process. So whenever a plant or seed begins to germinate, begins to throw roots, it's gonna interrupt that and essentially cause the plant to die. And as far as discriminating against like Poa annua and like a lot of the grasses that you may try and overseed with, so say you've got like a fescue lawn and you're trying to overseed this fall to thicken it up, or a ryegrass lawn or a KBG lawn, like if you apply pre-emergent, it is going to negatively impact the results you get with germination. So the question you have to really ask yourself, and again, for cool season folks, is which problem do you want to have? Like, I realize that, this time of year, cool season lawns tend to be struggling. You guys just got beaten up a lot from the summer temperatures. You may have some thin spots, some bare spots in your lawn, and you want to thicken them up. And the question you have to kind of ask yourself is, which problem do I want to have? Do I think that with mowing and just giving it some time and feeding the lawn, I can get the lawn to thicken up on its own over the course of, the rest of August, September timeframe? Or is overseeding something I'm really going to have to do? And if overseeding is what you're going to have to do, you make the decision that that's your primary goal, then doing that and using pre-emergent, you're kind of working against yourself. The pre-emergent is going to work fine, but the germination rates you get on your pre-emergent or on your overseeding are going to suffer for it. For warm season lawns, this becomes less of an issue, because unless you're someone that is overseeding your Bermuda lawn with ryegrass just to keep it green over the fall and winter months, for the most part, this is not really a huge issue for for your Bermuda, zoysia, lawns. It's really more of a concern for cool season folks. So you have to really decide which one is better for you, which way is best for you. In my opinion, I mean, weeds are a lot more of a headache personally to have to deal with. They're a lot more expensive to have to control. So unless you've got like a lawn that's really struggling, lots of bare spots, lots of negative. I mean, to where seeding is really something that you have to do, and it's not something you're just doing just because it's hey, it's fall time, so all my neighbors are overseeding their lawns, so I'm just going to overseed my lawn too. Unless there's actually a need for it, consider just going the pre-emergent route instead, because the benefits are going to help you out now, and also going to help you in the early spring where you're spending less time fighting Poa annua. So as far as the products, again, Specticle, in my opinion, for warm season grass, Prodiamine for cool season grass. We carry both of them on the Golf Course Lawn Store. The rates for the pre-emergent does vary depending on the grass type that you have. So you're going to want to look at the label and choose a grass type, or choose you choose a rate that's correct for your particular grass type, because it does vary. Like the rates that are used on a warm season lawn tend to be quite a bit higher for Prodiamine versus a cool season lawn. So check the label. If you want to know a little bit more about pre-emergent, the benefits of using it in the fall, we do have a blog post that we published here recently. If you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store, it's free to access. If you just go, to the Golf Course Lawn Store, you go to resources, you go to blog, and then this guy here talking about, can you apply a pre-emergent weed killer in the fall? Short answer is yes. And here's when and how it works best. So it talks about why fall is the prime time to do it. What you're trying to control, kind of what I just talked about. Annual bluegrass, kind of a big deal, kind of a pain to deal with after the fact. And it talks about some other some cool season weeds, your chickweeds, your henbit. Henbit's a common one, but then gives you options for both granular and for liquid pre-emergent. So this is an easy read. I've got it as a pinned comment in the live stream, assuming you're on YouTube. So check it out. I mean, I'd say it's a good. It's not terribly difficult to get through, and it's going to give you enough info to be able to make the decision around which product is really best for you. And as always, with anything that you get from us, if you look at the product descriptions, let's see, if we look at pre-emergent, there's going to be the labels listed here, and you'll be able to get guidance. So if you look at the product, you go down to how to use, you'll have the label, and then we often share guidance of what we find works best for us. But as always, consult the label. The label is going to be the authority as far as what is best for your particular grass types. That's for Specticle. And if we go back to other options for Prodiamine, let's say for Barricade, same thing. You've got the label here, video showing how to use it, but on the label you will see. Okay, scroll down here and I'll show you for Prodiamine. Yeah, so you can see that Prodiamine has a benefit that it can be used on cool and warm season turf grasses, but the rates are quite a bit different. So you see like a little over half an ounce on the high end for cool season lawns, where you're at almost a little over 0.8 of an ounce for a warm season lawn. So it's a pretty big discrepancy. Make sure that you read the label and along with application guidance for getting a good result. So hope that helps. There is again, pinned comment in the live stream, assuming you're on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, I will I'll link it here in the chat for any of those on the other platforms, so you guys can take a look at it as well, and then we'll get into any questions you guys have. Again, I didn't know how many folks would actually show up today, but given the number of questions I've gotten in the last 48 hours around pre-emergent application, I said, you know what, let's just go live and just answer this and share my thoughts on the matter. All right, okay. So let's see what other questions we have now that I've gone through and got off my soapbox. We can see we got Mr. Jermaine Battles up next. He says, hey, Ron, what's going on, Jermaine? Hopefully you're doing well. Thanks for stopping by and saying hello. And then we got Devin, Demir91. He says, what's up, Ron? Another Sunday turf stream. I like it as always. Looking forward to some good turf talk. I try, man. It's really all about the Prodiamine show, pre-emergent show. Like, here's how we cannot have less. Here's how the late fall and spring can be a lot more fun as far as us hanging out in the live stream. We won't be fighting and talking about pre-emergent quite so much, or weeds quite so much. So consider pre-emergent. I know not everybody does it, but again, if you don't want weeds in your lawn, it's something to consider. All right, Jackie Bear's up next. Says, Brother Ron, what's going on, sir? And then Nico has a question about spray tips. He says, hey, Ron, do you still recommend the two same spray spray tips from your video 4 years back. Yeah, I do. Yeah, they haven't really changed. I mean, it's one beneficial thing about the lawn care space is that I mean, there are developments, but as far as applying lawn care products, like a lot of that really hasn't changed. So that's a good question, Nico. When it comes to the two tips that I often talk about, is one produces a finer spray droplet and one produces a larger droplet. So if you were Googling these or looking for these on Amazon, this would be, well, you can refer to them, it'd be a tip for foliar sprays. So this is going to produce a finer droplet. And then this one is a flood jet tip. And if you look here, it's got a like larger notch. So when this is running, it looks almost along the lines of like what a shower head puts out. So it's much larger droplets, which is what you want for pre-emergent or really any kind of soil product that's supposed to get in the soil. So when you would use these would be the flood jet tip would be for pre-emergent. Whether you have cooler warm season grass, same tip applies. And if you're applying anything that needs to get in the soil, so fungicide, insecticide, this would be the spray tip that you would go with. This is the nozzle that would work well for you. For pretty much everything else, would be this guy, the fine droplets. You can look at this guy in comparison. It's a much smaller notch. You see the little metal notch there. So this produces almost, I don't say like a mist. It's not quite a mist, but it's a fan. It's a very fine droplet. The goal of this spray tip is to produce finer droplets because it helps to more evenly coat the leaf of the plant. And the reason why it's important is if you are spraying products like post-emergent herbicides, so you don't use pre-emergent, you're having to fight weeds after the fact, then this would be the spray tip you're going to use because most herbicides, not all of them, but most post-emergent herbicides work via foliar uptake, meaning you spray the leaf of the plant and then the plant absorbs it, and then the herbicide translocates or moves to the plant and kills it. So for post-emergent herbicides, for most of them anyway, most post-emergent herbicides for liquid fertilizers that don't require being watered in, like the ones that we carry in the Golf Course Lawn Store, for your biostimulants, like we carry the products from Miramichi Green, for your plant growth regulators, you're going to be using this guy. So for the most part, on my sprayer, this guy's the one that lives on it throughout most of the season. This one really only comes out for pre-emergent and fungicide apps and insecticide apps. So this is probably 3 to 4 times all year. And this one is literally every 2 weeks. So this guy, again, mainly lives on the sprayer. And if you guys were looking for these, I think I've got them. I think I've got them here somewhere. Let me find the link for them for you, because I'm sure the quick question is going to be, yeah, where can I buy those? You can find them on Amazon. They're really not expensive. I think if you bought both spray nozzles, you might spend $20. So not crazy expensive as far as that goes. All right. So for the foliar spray tip, the red nozzle, let me just check this link really quickly, make sure it works, because last thing I want to do is post something. You guys be like, hey man, I can't get to this anymore. Let's see. Yep. This looks good. All right. So for your foliar spray apps, this guy is the one you're going to want to use. And then for your flood jet, I'll post it here so that everyone else can get to it. So for foliar, that guy. And then for your pre-emergent, which is the thing that we were talking about, you're going to want to go with the flood jet tip, affectionately known as the white spray nozzle. All right. So again, these are worth investing in. One point as well is you'll notice that I have these in like in a carrier. So the spray, the sprayer that I use the one from Yard Mastery, but also if you have like a flow zone that uses a similar type of adapter. So this connects to the wand, and then you can change the nozzles that are in this. So before I forget, let me post the flood jet. So what I do, and I think it's worth it, is you just buy like an extra one of these, so you can just keep one where the nozzle stays in it, and you can just swap this piece out. Another reason to do that is there's a gasket that's in here, and if you're unscrewing and changing the nozzles back and forth, you can start to have leaks. So I would say invest in an extra one of these if you've got like a flow zone or the Yard Mastery sprayer that we carry. If you don't have either one of those, most sprayers, if you've got, I don't know, like a Ryobi or pretty much from any other manufacturer, for the most part, the sprayers have an end cap that can be unscrewed to where the spray tip is interchangeable. And if they don't, then it's probably not a great sprayer. But even like a little handheld, like pump sprayer, like a $30, $40 sprayer you can buy off of Amazon will typically have an interchangeable cap. So all you really will need is just the nozzles, and you can swap back and forth between them, assuming you don't have one that makes use of like a quick connect system like this. All right. So those are the only other tools you need to make sure you get the best result whenever applying pre-immersion. All right. Okay, so those are the two, Nico. Hope that helps. And again, you got the links in the chat in case you don't have them already. All right, so let's see what other questions we got here. I'm sipping on coffee. I know it's the middle of the day, but hey, there's never a bad time for coffee, right? All right, next up is Bubbles, Buttercup, and Pup. Oh, Pennant Magnum, yeah. He says, hey, Ron, any experience with Pennant Magnum as a pre-emergent? Was reading some concerns with Specticle on St. Augustine grass and sandy soils. Thanks in advance. No, so I've not used Pennant Magnum personally. I know in Florida there are some folks that do make use of it. Pennant Magnum, if memory serves me, also has some control for sedges, I believe, which Prodiamine doesn't really do anything for, and Specticle also doesn't really do a whole lot for, so it's kind of cool in that aspect. I've not heard of concerns with Specticle on St. Augustine grass. Again, it depends on the rate, right? So if you, that's a good point, Bubbles, we can talk about. So when it comes to pre-emergent apps, you will have a fairly large application rate range that you can use. So for Specticle, I want to say it's as high as 10 ounces per acre. I want to say that. I believe that's correct for like Bermuda grass. For St. Augustine, it's a little bit lower. So what you would want to do is not necessarily apply at the heaviest rate. You can take that and back it down quite a bit. So for example, even between the two apps that I'd use for one early next month and again in December, I still don't get to the annual limit. So I spray like 1/10 of an ounce of Specticle in September, and I do this per 1,000 square feet. So 1/10 of an ounce with a gallon of water over 1,000 square feet. And I do the same thing again in December. And that still leaves some meat on the bone as far as my annual limit for Bermuda grass. So you don't have to go like super heavy, especially with Specticle, to get a great result. I've not heard about sensitivity to St. Augustine grass. Again, I would imagine it depends on the application rate. I know Bermuda and Zoysia tend to tolerate fairly well. And again, you don't have to go near the max rates to get a good result with Specticle. With Pennant Magnum, don't have any direct experience with it. I mean, if you want to try that or give that a go for the fall, that can also work too. I would just look and see what rates other folks have used that particular product for on your grass type to know what you come to. I can give you an idea of where to start, I guess, to prevent potential issues. So what I'll tell you is just don't overdo it. Just because they give you especially with Specticle, like Prodiamine, like that I typically apply once at the higher rate in the springtime, but only one time. And then, but for Specticle, like even backing down the rate, you still get a really good result with this. You don't have to go too heavy. So hope that helps, Bubbles and Buttercup Pup. I don't have any direct experience with Pennant Magnum. You know what? It'd be cool to actually get some and try it out. I guess I haven't done Specticle yet. I guess I could get some Pennant Magnum in and try it out this fall. But I mean, it's not going to really be helpful for you because I don't have my lawn's not St. Augustine. So that goes. And as far as Specticle on St. Augustine grass in sandy soils, I'm trying to think of what bearing the soil type is going to have between. I understand that like a sandy soil is going to drain more, it's going to like water is going to move through it faster. But I'm trying to think of what advantage Pennant Magnum would have or Prodiamine would have in a sandier soil that Specticle wouldn't have. I'm trying to think of what the advantage would be, and nothing is really coming to mind. But maybe there's something about that product that maybe helps it stay in the soil better than other pre-emergents. But I mean, I would think that soil type would largely affect most pre-emergents equally, I would think. But again, I'm happy to be proven wrong. Okay, and you said in Central Florida, if that helps. No, not really. Again, I'm not really used Pennant Magnum. I'd say this, Bubbles Buttercup it's the funniest name ever. Is look at what other folks in your area are doing, because I mean you're going to find a lot of people are using Prodiamine because it's less expensive. But once you get into some of the more boutique the more expensive pre-emergents like Spectacle, like Pennant Magnum, see in your area what they're doing. Look at what the lawn care services in your area are spraying. Like around here in the fall, Spectacle is pretty much what's being applied. So if you can chase down one of the trucks and ask them, hey guys, you spraying pre-emergent? What you putting out this fall? A lot of times they'll tell you, and then you can use that along with just doing some research in the area to figure out what is a good idea for your particular grass type in your area. All right. But it'd be interesting to know, like, what is it about Pennant that you believe performs better in a sandier soil than, like, say, Prodiamine or Spectacle? Nothing, again, to me really comes to mind. All right. Next up is Lewis P86. He says, the Golf Course Lawn Store has hands down the best fertilizer on the market. I tried to cheap out on my last app, and the bag was a clumpy mess. Thanks for everything. Yeah, no worries about that, Lewis P86. I will say this: we only really carry quality fertilizers. I would say that the stuff that we carry is not the least expensive. We're never going to be the least expensive by far, but the goal is to offer products that I would use on my lawn and that are the best quality that we can get our hands on. So our goal, again, is to help people to create the best 5%, 1% of lawns out there, and really like the fertilizers from Lebanon. Again, I've had several conversations with them, and they take a lot of pride in producing a really quality product. Not saying other manufacturers don't as well too, but like their greens grade fertilizers are awesome, and then also even like Humic Max or 1608, which is like an in between like a standard SGN and moving towards a greens grade, also great fertilizer, and we've had lots of feedback about it. So the only complaint I've ever really gotten about any of the fertilizers that we carry is that they tend to be more expensive, and I'm good with that, because if the only complaint you have is that it costs a bit more, everything we carry is not for everybody. But if you try it out, I think you're really going to be happy with the results, as you're saying. So glad to hear that it's producing great results for you. All right. Next up is Cooper's dad. He says first spring following New Zeon sod and was a weed disaster. Poa annua discovered Spectacle Flow, and following two applications, not a single weed across 12,000 square feet. If questioning the cost, don't. It's worth it. Yeah, I completely agree with that, Cooper's dad. So like literally last several years, I've been using Spectacle, and on my lawn, I had like less than a handful of like Poa annua, and they were all along like the edges, like next to the neighbors that maybe don't take care of the grass as nice, and I'm not sure pre-emergent they were using, but they don't also take care of the grass as well as I do. But as far as like the middle of the lawn, like the areas that were largely like Ron Henry controlled, not a weed in sight. So it costs, like, this stuff is not cheap, but it's also not expensive for the problem that it solves. You know what I mean? And I think a bottle of this, depending on the application rate, is like 3 acres. So you're going to buy a bottle and you're going to have it for years and years and years and years and years. So I agree with you. You definitely get what you pay for when it comes to pre-emergent Spectacle. Again, to go on a journey with this. So here's what I've tried before I landed on Spectacle and just stuck to this for my fall pre-emergent. In the past, I've done Dimension, dithiopyr, which is okay. I've done just by itself. I've done Prodiamine just by itself. I've done multiple apps of Prodiamine, multiple apps of Dimension. So an app in September, another one in December for both Dimension and Prodiamine. This is a little bit better, but still not great. And then there's a year where I did a Poor Man's Spectacle, where it's like you take Prodiamine, you take Simazine or Princep, and you take Imazaquin. You add all of them, you mix all of them together, and you spray that as your pre-emergent. And that is actually fairly decent. Like, as far as a combination that approaches a lot of the control or some of the control that you get with Spectacle, like that combination is actually pretty good. The thing that's not as good is it just doesn't last as long. So the residual compared to Spectacle isn't as good. And with the price now of like Simazine and Image, and just the fact that you got like 3 pre-emergents, you're just mixing, you're having to mix a bunch of products and whatnot, it's just easier to just buy this and just not worry about it. You know what I mean? So that, if you don't want to use Spectacle and you can get your hands on, and you've got, like, say, a 5-pound tub of like a jug of Prodiamine laying around, you can get yourself on some Simazine and Image fairly cheap. You could mix those together, and that perform not as good as Spectacle, but it's close. And I've got a video from a few years back talking about fall pre-emergent where I show how I mix it. There's a couple different ways of doing it, but I show the rates that I use that produced a pretty good result for me. Or you can just buy Specticle Flow and not worry about it. There's also that. Okay. But yeah, I'm glad to hear that it worked well for you, Cooper's dad. And, again, it's definitely a case of buy once, cry once when it comes to Specticle. You definitely like say, man, this stuff is not cheap. But then you spray in the fall and then the springtime, all you're doing is smiling. So yeah, I'm totally with you on that. And one thing I realized I didn't do is I didn't give you guys a link to where you can find these. Here we go. So I'll link this to where everyone can get to it. Emergence here. All right. Cool. All right. So next up, we have is DJ Jim Sounds. DJ Jim Sounds. He says, hey, Ron, I got 4 days of no rain, 90 degrees in the forecast. Okay. How fast can I spray my Bermuda Miramichi, pest control, pre-emergent, post-emergent, and fertilizer? Can I do them all in 4 days? Thank you. Yeah, so here's the thing. You could do all of that the same day if you wanted to. You don't have to really space it out. So here's how I would do it. So you have a Bermuda lawn, you want to put out pre-emergent, you want to spray the Miramichi green pest control, and you want to do fertilizer. So here's, if it were me, if I woke up tomorrow morning and I had to put all those products sitting on a table, how I would apply them. As a general rule, granular products you want to apply first. So like fertilizer, you don't really want to apply to a wet lawn. So I would put out and I'm assuming it's a granular fertilizer, but if it's for granular fertilizer, you'd put that out first. So apply that first, go put that over the entire lawn. And then I'm a fan of doing like the sides last. So like pesticides, like herbicides, you do them after you do any granular inputs. So of the two, what would I do? If you're going to do the Miramichi pest control and pre-emergent, you could probably mix those and spray them at the same time. Like that would be okay. Like I wouldn't have an issue with doing that. If you wanted to space them out and do one and then the other, you could also do that as well too. The post-emergent herbicides is what should be done by itself though. So if we were how we would do this. You got weeds in your lawn, you're trying to do pre-emergent, and you're also trying to do post-emergent. What I would do is this. Fertilizer first. I would do your pest control, your pre-emergent, and then the last thing I would do is your post-emergent herbicides. So like anything that you're going to be applying that needs a surfactant. So as far as like the number of times you're going to be going over the lawn, it's going to be a total of 3 times. First, with just the granular fertilizer with your spreader. The second time with the pest control and the pre-emergent using the flood jet spray nozzle. And then if you're blanket spraying the entire lawn with post-emergent herbicides, I guess that could be a thing. But if you're blanket spraying or spot spraying, that is when you would go and use your post-emergent herbicides along with surfactant as the last thing. The thing that I'm going to have you do is wait until the following day to run your irrigation, to water in the fertilizer and also the pre-emergent, because you want to give the post-emergent herbicide enough time to dry on the leaf of the plants that you're targeting, the weeds that you're targeting. So you can do all this literally in one day if you wanted to. And I would do again the post-emergent herbicides last, give it several hours, really just wait till the following day to run your irrigation, and you'll be good to go. So hopefully that helps. I think we covered this or discussed this on the live stream, perhaps on Friday night. And the only reason why, in case you're interested, why I'm not having you do the pest control, pre-emergent, and post-emergent herbicides all together is because really for best results, you are going to want to use surfactant along with your post-emergent herbicides, and that's not really required for pre-emergent or the Miramichi pest control. So that's why I'm separating them and having you go over the lawn 3 times instead of, I guess, 2 if you did it all at once. So hope that helps, DJ GM Sounds. I appreciate all of the questions. It looks like Robert Rainey sent me an email here. What did he do? He said he Verta dropped, so he didn't Verta cut. So he went fishing. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know, Robert. You gotta let me know if you're okay with me posting this on the live stream. I mean, you sent me a picture, but I don't know if you want the folks to see it. It is a pretty cool cool haul you got there. but yeah, just message me, either message in the chat or just let me know. Yeah, it's okay to to share that with everybody. Okay. Next up is Pone, you LOL, you mad? He says, what's your opinion on elemental sulfur, especially for those of us in Texas with clay soil? What about Epsom salts? So elemental sulfur, if you're looking for a way to lower your soil pH, then sure. Yeah, I mean, it's, if you're trying to lower your soil pH, then elemental sulfur or a sulfate of some sort is good. Epsom salts, I've played with that. So I believe, I forget the additive in Epsom salts. I think it's magnesium that's in Epsom salts. I played with that a couple of years back, adding that to some of my sprays, and I didn't see a difference. I tried like with and without, and I didn't personally notice a difference in color or anything really in the lawn. So I stopped doing it. I did it like twice and I was like, I don't really notice a difference. So this is like just one more thing and not just like it's really making a difference for me. So I didn't do it. And again, this was several years ago. But elemental sulfur, yeah, if you need a way to lower soil pH, then yeah, then it's a good tool. I mean, you can use elemental sulfur. There's another sulfur for lawns that we often share with folks. Let me see if I can find it. It's from Earth Science, this guy here. So if you're looking for a way to, again, lower soil pH, this would be an option as well. Pone, LOL, you mad? But it all depends on what it is you're trying to accomplish. Okay. So hope that helps. That's the sulfur. And then so Robert Rainey says it's okay to share it. Yeah, so we talking about verticutting, and I guess he verti-dropped. So he dropped his lure straight down, and he pulled something pretty cool here. So it's not lawn care, but it's still kind of impressive. So I'll share with you guys really quick. So picture from Robert. That's snapper's massive, man. That's a good sized fish. You gonna cook it up? You cook it up later, I guess. It's pretty cool. So there's Robert. If you guys want to see the face behind the guy that creates that crazy good looking lawn stripe action, that's him, and that's him in the I guess I'd imagine in the Gulf fishing. Looking good, man. Looking good. Nice work. Good catch. All right. So next up we have Gavin Moore. He says, hey, Ron, I was browsing through YouTube and noticed you are on. Great. Okay. I'm glad. It's a good thing. He says, it would be useful to use granules and liquid pre-emergence to the yard or just use separately. So I'm not sure I understand the question. So if you're talking about like granular fertilizer and pre-emergent, yeah, you can do that. I would do the granular fertilizer first and then the liquid pre-emergent afterwards. If you're talking about doing granular pre-emergent and liquid pre-emergent, I would not do that. Like I would not get out there and it depends on what you're using, but I wouldn't go out and apply. I'll show you, for example, like prodiamine comes as a granular here and is also available in as a water dispersible granule, right? So you mix this with water and then spray it. I would not go out and apply the granular prodiamine like this, and then also go out and spray the liquid. Like I wouldn't do that. Like if you want to do the granular for September and then use the liquid for like your December app, that'd be fine. But I would not go out and do like two applications just for different application mediums of the same product at the same time. There's no real need to do that. So no, if that's what you're asking. And you're saying if you do separately, yes, I would. Yes. Can you do granular pre-emergent, granular for your first pre-emergent app and liquid for your second? Yes, I would not do them at the same time though. So again, if we are looking at early September to do your first pre-emergent app, I would not go out, say Saturday morning and put out a granular prodiamine and then Saturday afternoon go out and spray liquid prodiamine. I would not do that. Okay. All right. Next up is Timothy Gonzalez. He says, happy Sunday, Ron. When would be the time to stop applying PGR for the season? Depends on where you are and how your grass is growing. Normally on the schedule, I think we say we shut it down in September. So if you go to resources and then lawn care schedule, I want to say September is when they're say last pre-emergent app. Is it September or no? Yeah, there you go. September final growth regulator app of the year, Primo Max. So, but you can go as late as October if the lawn is still growing, where you are. So it depends on where you are in the country, what kind of grass you have. If the grass is still actively growing and you want to control that growth rate, then yeah, you can still use growth regulator. In other words, there's not really any negatives per se of like doing another app in October if your lawn is actively growing, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So yeah, depending on what your lawn's doing, let that be your guide as far as when you should decide to shut down plant growth regulator. For me, September, maybe one app in the beginning of October would be it. But then yeah, that's pretty much when I'm done with it. All right, next up is Mr. Richard Taylor. He says, I have upped my mowing this year to 3 times per week. I like the sound of that. And the results have been amazing. Do I need to cut it less as we get closer to the fall? Up to you. I mean, here's the thing. My only rule for this, right, is if you are going to mow your grass frequently, make sure that the equipment is sharp. As long as your mower is sharp, what you're going to find is if you are maintaining the same 3 times per week mowing schedule as the rate of growth slows down, you're just going to take less off. So it's not necessarily going to hurt anything as long as you're varying your mowing patterns and you're varying your mowing patterns so you're not like creating ruts from where. Then yeah, I'm in other words, there's not really going to be a time I'm going to tell you to, hey, mow your lawn less. If you got the time to do it, I would absolutely get out there and take care of it. There's nothing really wrong with that. Okay. So hope that helps, Richard Taylor. Yeah, like to your point, like I do say this, all things considered, same nutrient program, good weed control program, he or she who mows most is going to have the best looking lawn. So mowing really is that thing. It helps bring it all together. So I'm really happy to hear that in your case, more mowing has produced a better lawn. Love to hear that. All right, Ahmad Jones is up next. Can I do a late scalp on my Bermuda lawn? I live in Memphis, Tennessee, 90 plus temps all week. You can, if you really want to. So here's the thing. This question we've been having for a couple of weeks in the live stream. So today, when I mowed the lawn, I did an updated Bermuda, or I will post an updated Bermuda probably after the show today. And I dropped the height of cut from 3/4 of an inch to 5/8. So I said, you know what? You guys all keep asking about if we do like a height of cut change or reset later on into the season on a warm season lawn like Bermuda, what's going to happen? So I did the research. I did it for you guys just so you can see. Surprise, surprise, still looks pretty good. There were a few areas where I lost a bit of color, so I'll post a video here at the end, once the live stream's over, probably, I don't know, a couple hours from now, showing you that, and you'll be able to see how it recovers. Because to your point, we still have, high temps. Within a week or two, it's going to recover and bounce back and look good. But so I just wanted to do that because the question that, kind of like what you asked today, I got this question Friday. Last week, got the same question. So I said, you know what? I'm going to just do it and document it, and you guys can see for yourself what happens when you do a height of cut change. Granted, mine is relatively mild. I went from like 3/4 of an inch to 5/8. So I didn't go like from 3/4 of an inch like under half an inch. It wasn't like a major change, but it was enough to take some of the color out of the Bermuda. So you guys will be able to check that out again here in a few hours once I get up the live stream and I post it. So I think you'd be fine, Ahmad. I would not go too aggressive. So again, if you're at 3/4 of an inch, if you want to go to 5/8, maybe just over around half an inch, like that's as far as I would go with it. And if given where temps are, it would likely recover. What I'll tell you is this: is you want to get on that Richard Taylor life. Is after you do a height of cut change, increase your mowing frequency for the next week or two. So if you're mowing like twice a week, mow like 3 times a week. Like just pick up your mowing frequency a little bit for the next couple of weeks, and that's going to help the lawn recover faster from the height of cut change. You'll get the color back into it faster if you do that. So just a consideration if you decide to go that route. All right, Rich70 is up next. He says, what? Another surprise Sunday fun day? Yeah, man. I got to switch it up for you guys. I can't have you guys always thinking that I'm always going to be the same way every time. Like I can be spontaneous sometimes. So yeah. So there you go. So next up we have Bubbles Buttercup. He says, thanks for the advice, Ron. The sandy soil downward movement warning is on the 13 of the spectral flow, but it makes sense. That is maybe at the higher rate and lower rate would be better. Yes, I would say just keep the rate lower. Spectacle, you don't have to go near the limit to produce a really good result with that product. So if it were me, I'd say if you want to use Pennant Magnum, you already got it, go for it. Spectacle, I know against Poa annua is it's awesome. It's primo, no, pun not intended. So if you can just spray it at lower rates, you're going to like the results as far as keeping Poa annua out of your lawn. All right. So that's what I would tell you. All right. Willie Allen, not the first, but the second is up next. He says, happy Sunday. Based on the show Convo, is it best to treat the adult weed in a separate app from the pre-emergent in the coming weeks, Tennessee 3-year-old Bermuda sod? Yeah, so great question, Willie. So pre-emergent really is effective against weeds that have not started growing in your lawn as yet. So it's kind of in the name. It's designed as a preventative control. So if you think about the different stages of a weed's life cycle, you can think like, prior to it germinating or right at germination, there's a way to control weeds, and pre-emergent that's where it works. If you get to the point to where the weed has, it's rooted, it's tillered, it's got, it's throwing leaf and it's like living its best life, pre-emergent is not going to do a whole lot for you at that point. At that point, you're gonna have to go to a post-emergent herbicide. So the question you have, is it best to treat the adult weed in a separate app from the pre-emergent in the coming weeks? I'm a fan of doing that personally. So and the reason why is this. Most post-emergent herbicides, most of them work better and perform better whenever they have some kind of a spray adjuvant with them, like a methylated seed oil or a surfactant, like a spreader sticker like this. You don't want to use a surfactant with pre-emergent. So while you could put pre-emergent in the tank and also post-emergent herbicides in the tank, and yes, it can work. I've done it before. The only reason to really do that is that it helps save time. So if you don't want to have to go over the lawn like multiple times and you're doing like a broadcast application, broadcast spray, in that case, yeah, it's a way to save time. But the best way to do it is to do your pre-emergent application separately with just pre-emergent or whatever else you have to be spraying that needs to get into the soil. And then for the weed that's already in your lawn, to use a post-emergent herbicide. So use like a proper herbicide, use surfactant along with it. You're going to get a better result doing the apps separately versus combining them together. Like when I've done what I think you're considering doing has been in I'm trying to think, when was it? I think it was a springtime app. Was in the spring. And it worked fairly well. So the neighbor, many, many moons ago, when they first moved in, they moved in between the time when the old people moved out and there was no one there and there was no lawn care service or whatever. So the lawn kind of got out of control. So in that case, I did Prodiamine, Celsius, Certainty to clean up like all the broadleaf weeds that were in their lawn. They also had some Poa annua in their lawn. And they wanted to have a pre-emergent put out. So I did the pre-emergent, I did Celsius and Certainty. And what was interesting is that it worked fairly well. I did have to go back one more time for the Poa annua with just an application of Certainty and surfactant. But the broadleaf weeds, Celsius did a pretty good job controlling those. So it can work doing them all together, but it works better if you use the post-emergent herbicides with like an adjuvant, like a surfactant or like not MSO, but I mean like or a surfactant. That's what I would tell you to use with Celsius and Certainty for best results. Okay. So I hope that helps, sir. I like where your mind is, taking care of existing weeds, but more importantly, preventing new weeds. Because the weeds that are here, they're here now, and we can fight them, we can do our best to get rid of them, but what's better and gets you on the right track is to prevent more weeds, to reduce the amount of new weeds in your lawn. Makes your life a lot more fun, a lot more easy. Enjoys life. Makes life more fun. Mel Allen's up next. He say, well, go on, Ron. What's going on, Mel? Finally tried Primo at 0.05 ounces in a new EZ at half an ounce on Palmetto St. Augustine, applied on 8/15/25. So we'll see how it goes. Respect. So you applied it 2 days ago. You should see it should be slowing down. So if you applied on the 15th, today's the 17th. Yeah, I mean, if you mow, well, so what'll happen is this: when you mow tomorrow, a little less will come off, but really the next mow. So like if you mow tomorrow, that'll be some reduction, but really the second mow after spraying pre-emergent is where you really see the reduced the reduction in growth rate, right? So because like when you first sprayed, it's working its way into the plant, the grass is starting to slow down. But then when you cut it off, now you're really seeing from a grass that already has pre-emergent has plant growth regulator in it, that's where growth is being suppressed. You just did a fresh mow. Now you're going to be able to see from that fresh cut with PGR in the plant to the next cut, like how much the growth rate has slowed down. So it's really the second mow after you apply pre-emergent is when you really see the reduction. So hope that helps. Keep us posted as far as how well it goes. Jay Coleman says, can I overseed after using Specticle? You can, it's just not going to work as well. You're not going to get great results as far as your germination rate. So can you? I mean, yeah, you can, but is it ideal? No. Would I do it? No. What I'd say is this, Jay, is I just say no, just don't do it. I really wouldn't. I mean, if your thing is this, right? I want to keep Poa annua out of my lawn, but I also want to toy around with the idea of, overseeding my Bermuda grass with perennial ryegrass. And if it takes, fine. If it doesn't take, fine. I'm not really married to it either way, meaning that keeping weeds out of your lawn is the more important. And you don't care if you waste money on some grass seed if you get poor germination rates. If you want to try it, you can, but it is going to be like noticeably worse. Like the germination rates you're going to get are going to be noticeably impacted from having pre-emergent in the soil, especially something like Specticle. So can you? Yes, but you're going to be wasting a lot of grass seed, and the results are not going to be as good as they would had you not applied pre-emergent. So hope that helps. Robert Rainey's up next. He says, what's up, guys? What's going on, Robert? Hopefully you're doing well, sir. Hopefully you're all right. Thanks for coming by to say hi. And again, Robert Rainey, the man, the myth, the legend, the only person I think in the Golf Course Lawn Academy that owns a Prism gauge, or at least has fessed up to it. He shows it proudly at least once per season to show the quality of cut in his lawn. And this is the guy. He's out there, I imagine, in the Gulf, taking some snapper out of the ocean, right? Getting some dinner. Fishing up some dinner. All right. So next up, we have Hinkles Golf Pro. He says, back so soon? Sweet. Yeah, man. Figure why not? Yeah, you got nothing going on a Sunday afternoon. I already mowed the lawn. Figured why not stop by and chat a little bit about pre-emergent, mainly because of the influx of email that I've gotten in the last 48 hours about pre-emergent apps. I'm like, you know what? Let's just do a small little live stream and just talk about this. Give you my thoughts on it. All right. So, all right. So next up, we have... The Trilla from Manila is in the chat. He says, happy Sunday, Ron. Did a mid-season scalp on the lawn after letting it get away from me. It's finally starting to green back up fully. Nice. I like it. So how long ago did you do the mid-season scalp on the lawn to, Trilla? Was it like several weeks ago, last week? What are we talking about? Because again, a trick you can use is whenever you do a high-to-cut reset is just increase your mowing frequency. That will help the lawn recover a bit faster. You're going to stimulate that growth. It's going to green up and look better a little bit faster versus if you just stick with your whatever mowing interval you were using prior to that. So like most things, mowing helps your lawn in more ways than it hurts it. All right, BP or BF is up next. He says, I just got my first real mower. I have Bermuda grass that I've been cutting at 2 inches. How should I transition over from a rotary mower? Oh, wow. Okay, so that's going to be a pretty big change, BP or BF. You can work it down over a couple of weeks, but here's what I want to prepare you for, all right, is when you go from 2 inches of height of cut with a rotary mower to, let's say you're aiming for 3/4 of an inch, right, which most lawns will tolerate fairly well even without top dressing, maybe between 3/4 of an inch and an inch. The lawn is going to look not great when you make this change. But if you, like I've been telling the other folks, if you are very consistent with your mowing, so if you can get out there and mow every other day, every 2 days, like that is going to speed up the transition from the higher height of cut to say 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch, and the lawn will look pretty good. So when I got my zoysia, which guys, and Bermuda folks, there's going to be a video that's going to be coming out after the show. It's going to show just Bermuda. I'm not even going to mention zoysia in it at all. So just please bear with me as I give an illustration to BPBF. Right? I know y'all like now mad at me because I'm talking about zoysia a whole lot. But this lawn right now that you're seeing which is at 3/4 of an inch, started out with the sod at right around 2 inches when it was put in. And over the course of about 10 days, just under 2 weeks, I worked the height of cut from 2 inches down to the current height of cut that you see right now, which is 3/4 of an inch. So, and this is zoysia. So it's a, you have Bermuda grass. Bermuda grows, I mean, hate to say it, but grows like a weed. It grows a lot more aggressively than zoysia does. So as long as you step it down, let's say, so first cut from 2 inches, go from like 2 inches to, I don't know, 1.75 inches, 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches, 1 inch, and then assess how it is. So over the course of like 3 mows, you can drop the height of cut each time a little bit, and just assess how the lawn is looking. The big thing you want to be aware of, BP or BF, is scalping. So with you going from a rotary mower to a reel mower, I don't know how smooth your lawn is. If the reel mower is scalping at any point, meaning it's like not only getting the grass, but it's like hitting dirt, like that is your limit. You want to bump the height of cut up a little bit above that. But if you can get it down from 2 inches to say 1 inch with no scalping, and you just keep up with your mowing, it will recover and look pretty good. So yeah. And the thing I would tell you is when you do this, make sure you bag the clippings, meaning don't go and cut like 1 inch of Bermuda grass off over the course of like 10 days and just throw all that debris, all that trash into the lawn. Like bag it, get it out. I know it's more work, but it's in my opinion, the correct way to do a height of cut change as you're going from a rotary to a reel mower. So congrats again on the mower. You didn't say what kind you got, but congrats on going from rotary to reel, and enjoy it, man. Enjoy the process. It's going to look not great when you first do it, but it will. Bermuda does better at lower heights of cut, and the best tool to do that is a reel mower. So you're on your way. All right. Next up, we got Mr. Higgy Pop in the live stream. He says, "Happy Sunday. I ended up getting the Honda HRX 217." So okay, so Higgy Pop was he sent an email last week. He was saying, "Hey man, I'm just trying to get a quality rotary mower," and said, "Here's my budget of what I'm looking at." And I was saying, "Well, based on where you are, I mean, Honda makes a really good mower. I really like the Honda mowers. But if depending on where you are, you can't go wrong with Toro. Like kind of like nobody got fired for buying IBM. Nobody ever got fired for buying Toro. So you get like a Toro, like a recycler. Those are pretty nice. You got different versions of those you can go with." I said, "But Honda, I mean, I'll tell you, they make a really nice rotary mower if you can spring for one." And he looks like he found an HRX, which is nice, man. Congrats. I'm gonna clap it up for you, man. Congrats. Bravo. Nice machine. He says you can still find them new, just had to look and travel to get one. Very cool. So keep a sharp blade on it, but that's going to serve you really well. Honda makes a really good mower. Nice stuff. All right, next up is Matt Jackson. He says, "Hey Ron, I'm pushing my zoysia hard now in August for that final push. What do you mean by pushing, Matt? I certainly hope that you not mean that, you're throwing 2 pounds of nitrogen. You're not in the 2 pounds of N gang, are you? You're not like 2 pounds or bust. Like we're going to try and push a bunch of growth and get it to grow as fast as possible. Surely that's not you. I think you're just saying that I'm keeping up with my regular feeding and I'm trying to keep the zoysia looking as good as possible for as long as possible. And I'm doing so responsibly with good fertilization. I think that's what you're trying to say, right? You're not the 2 pounds of nitrogen. You're not about that life. I hope, right? All right, so next up is John Williams. He says, "Oh snap, 2 for 1. I love it." Savannah, Georgia in the house. "Don't get tired, Ron. Seems like you're lacking energy. I keep cutting a bit of color out of my backyard, probably due to shade. Should I raise the height of cut a little bit?" Yes. If you have a shaded area in your lawn and you're losing color and the lawn's not bouncing back, then yeah, you can cut a little bit taller. Now, John got you guys Celebration, right? John, I think you went with. So this is his lawn. It's a relatively new lawn. He's at 1.5 inches. I don't see a bunch of, maybe near the house. I can see near the house there's probably some shade. But overall, I don't see too much shade there, John. I'm not sure where, maybe the fence line in the background, there's some shade. And then along near the house, there's a tree there that may be casting some shade. But overall, lawn looks pretty good. And again, remember, you just put this sod in. You haven't leveled yet. So there's no reason to really push it too much as far as a lower height of cut, given that you got a rotary mower. Like next season, if a reel mower's in the cards, you can do that. Or if your budget permits you to go out and top dress it, you could do that and then bump the height of cut down a little bit. But I'd say just, the grass will tell you like what it likes, given, the sun it's getting, the kind of equipment you're using, how smooth or bumpy the lawn is. You'll be able to tell whether or not, hey, I'm trying to push this mower at like 1.25 inches on my rotary and the lawn's just scalping and getting like, flying saucers all throughout it. This is just not going to work well. So just kind of like pay attention to what the lawn is telling you and then just adjust accordingly. And remember, you can always make it better as far as smoother next year using a top dress. So hope that helps, sir. All right, next up is Rashad Logan. He says, good evening, Ron. Are you going to maintain at 5/8 or will you raise your high to cut up to get it to green back up? No, I'm gonna keep it at 5/8. Keep it at 5/8. So I'm gonna have to increase my mowing frequency. I'm gonna keep it at 5/8 for you guys. We're in the latter half of August, so I guess every other day mowing is probably gonna be okay. But at the end of the live stream, I will post the short that I took of the back lawn. There's not a single, here's the thing, I don't even say the Z word not one time in that video. I was very careful, at least I don't think I did. Pretty sure I didn't. I was very careful to not say the Z word, Zoysia, not one time in that video, because I know how sensitive you guys have been here of late, me only talking about the Zoysia lawn, my new toy in the front. So I gave you something cool to look at. Not only did I show the back lawn, I said, hey, I did something kind of cool. You know, changed how to cut a little bit just by a touch, and you can see what we're working with, and we'll do some updates regularly after every time I mow, so you'll be able to see how it comes back. All right, so it'll be like mini project for the Bermuda grass, which I think you guys will like. Okay, Gerald Jennings is up next. He says, Ron, I plan to apply pre-emergent in early September and late November. Can I aerate in between those dates? Yeah, you can if you want to. You can. So here's the thing. Does aeration disturb the pre-emergent barrier? Yes. Have I ever noticed an issue where I have a lot of breakthrough after aerating? No, I personally have not experienced that. Now, I will caveat that by saying I don't typically aerate my lawn in the fall, but my pre-emergent app in the springtime normally is in early to mid-February, and then I'll aerate in like late March, early April, and so that's a month or so after I have done my pre-emergent app, and it's not like I have a bunch of breakthrough with weeds in my lawn afterwards. I've not done a core aerate the time you're talking about, like between September and November, but I'm still less inclined to think there's going to be a problem, because you're going to do pre-emergent app in September, you're going to core aerate at some point during there, and then in November you're going to put out pre-emergent again. So you're going to be fine. Like, in other words, what you are doing is less likely to result in weeds than what I do, because I apply pre-emergent in early spring, late winter, early spring, and then I core aerate afterwards, and I don't do any more pre-emergent until the fall, and I don't have issues with weeds with a lot of breakthrough. So your plan should be fine. If you really want to do a core aerate in the fall, it's fine. Again, technically you are disturbing the barrier. The pre-emergent does not work as well if you do that. But the fact that you're kind of using like a pre-emergent app before and a pre-emergent app after is kind of like bookends, you should be okay. Should be just fine. Keep us posted as far as how well it goes. John Williams is up next. He says, what tends to happen if I push high N right now? Can I throw down a pound of N at this time of year? You can do whatever you want, John. I mean, I'm just of the opinion that if you're fertilizing a Bermuda lawn, if you're applying a pound of nitrogen or a little bit below that, that's fine. Like, that's, a lot of the research says a pound of N per month whenever the lawn is actively growing, that's going to be just fine. I tend to bias a little bit lower than that. So I tend to be around 3/4 of a pound of nitrogen every month throughout the growing season. I like that because it doesn't cause a lot of excess growth. The color still stays nice and consistent. So you get all the benefits and really none of the negative, and you're using less fertilizer. So you're saving a little bit of money by going that way too. So again, the thing I would look at is this. You say you want to use high N. The thing I would be more concerned about is how much nitrogen are you putting into the soil. So if you want to go out and put out like a 20 percent nitrogen product, I mean, could you do that? Yes, you could. But again, what you want to aim for is that the total amount of N per thousand, you don't really want to exceed 1 pound per thousand. In my opinion, I just really wouldn't do that. You don't have to do that to get a good result with your Bermuda lawn. All right. And then as you get further into the fall, so when we get into like really October, that's the last month that I really do any kind of granular nitrogen inputs on my lawn. As long as you like begin slowing down and inputs going into the soil, then you're not going to really create conditions where disease can be an issue next spring. So as long as August for the most part, you can treat August the same way you treat the lawn in July or June. It's just, with Bermuda, it's pretty much the same thing. But once you start getting into the latter part of the season, September, October, that is when, if it were me, I would slow down on how much N you are putting into the soil. The grass is growing slower, so it doesn't need as much nitrogen, and you're not really trying to push a bunch of growth when it's trying to go dormant. Like, just let it do what it wants to do, given the conditions, is what I would say. All right. Okay, next up we have Rashad. I've already answered that one. Next one is ATL Homes for you. He says, after not having a local weed service for a year, oh, heaven help you. Ooh, I can't imagine. He says, I restarted with a company last month after having the lawn aerated. Now the weeds seem to the worst. I'm ready to try these products. Okay, so hang on a second. Now I'm gonna come to the defense of the lawn care service on this one. Okay, ATL Homes for you. If you've not had any kind of weed treatments or any kind of like pre-emergent, post-emergent herbicides or anything like that over the course of a year, and then like you go out and you core aerate, whatever it was. When did you say you had it done? Last month. I would not blame like the influx or the growth of weeds on necessarily that. Now they could have not cleaned their equipment. They could have brought weeds in your lawn. That is a possibility. But if you go an entire year with no pre-emergent, no one's doing anything in the lawn, it's not unlikely that, or not uncommon that when you get into this time of the year that you're going to see a lot more weeds. You're going to see asperges going to take off, crabgrass is going to be living its best life. So when you get into like July, August, you'll begin to really see the effects of not doing the work earlier in the season. Now, having said that, if you want to go out and apply a pre-emergent yourself, that's fine, but I wouldn't be too quick to blame the service that did the aeration work if the lawn has not really been cared for throughout the entire season. That's all I'm trying to tell you. All right. If you are going to do pre-emergent in the fall, so you said, yeah, ATL Homes for you. So I'm imagining you're in Atlanta. What I would tell you is like the product that I'm going to be using, again, in my opinion, the best product to use for a fall pre-emergent on a warm season lawn, Bermuda grass lawn in Georgia, is a product called Specticle Flow. If you hire any of the lawn care services, any of the big ones, they're going to be using Specticle. That's what they're going to be spraying in the fall. So we do carry it on the Golf Course Lawn Store. It is not cheap, but it is by far the best in my opinion. So I'll send you a link to where you can find it if you care. There's also guidance there as far as how to use it. So given where you are now, pre-emergent later this month, early next month is a good thing to do. And then just realize that now we're kind of in a reset moment, right? You can use pre-emergent to kind of prevent things from getting worse going into the fall and into next year. And then you can use post-emergent herbicides now to clean up some of the weeds that are in your lawn, but just realize it's a process. Like your lawn didn't get where it is now overnight, and we're not going to be able to go from like, where it is now to like weed free and looking spectacular in like a week or so. So just have to just bear in mind that it's gonna take some work to get it right, but we can do that. We can absolutely do that. So I'll send you a link to where you can find Specticle ATL Homes for you. You're on Instagram, so I'll link it here because you're not going to be able to see otherwise. Actually, I'll just do this. How about that? We'll do that. That's the link to pre-emergent. And then for the fine folks on the YouTube, if you guys are looking, I should just post it here too, so you can find it here. But there you go, ATL Homes for you. That's yeah, you're in Georgia with Bermuda grass. Yeah. So if your budget will permit, this is what you want to use. Specticle Flow. This is the stuff to use in the fall. All right. Okay. Next up, we have John Williams. He's back. He says, is it true that our hybrid Bermuda grass doesn't have seeds, or have things changed? I have Celebration Bermuda and my contractor didn't do such a good job, and I need this grass to be better. Okay, so does hybrid Bermuda grass produce seeds? Yes. Are they viable? No. So the grass seeds that hybrid Bermuda grass produces, they're sterile. So it produces seeds, but you can't use it to grow more of it. So yes, it does have seeds. If you look at your Bermuda grass lawn next May, like when it starts to get hot, you're going to see seed heads, and that's when it's like flowering and throwing off seeds, but those seeds are not going to really turn into anything. So it does have seeds, but they are not viable. They are sterile. All right. Higgy pops up next. He says, let's all hit the like button for Ron. It's all free. Let's do that, guys. We got 55 folks in the live stream, more than I expected. 46 likes. So we can do a little better than that. We can hit, if you're on Instagram, you can hearts or whatever interaction you want to do. Would really appreciate that. It's a free way to support the channel. Matt Jack is like 2 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet for life. So you're about that life, right? You like to live dangerously, huh? I got you. I mean, not my jam, not what I would do, but hey, man, do you? I mean, and on Zoysia too, you are living dangerously. You are you are flirting with Thatch and all kinds of problems. Okay, I mean, let me know how it works out for you. 2 pounds per 1,000 on Zoysia. Not what I'd recommend, but hey, lawn care, like finance, is very personal. You can do it your way. Hey, John Williams says, in the backyard between the houses, the sun sucks there. Yeah, so that's going to be a challenge, John. So can you mow it a little bit taller there? Sure, but like the one kryptonite of Bermuda grass, the one thing that you just cannot have with Bermuda grass and have it look good is shade. So if you have, your home and there's a neighbor right next to you and there's like that corridor between the two homes, you got Bermuda grass in there and you're not lucky where the sun passes to where it like shines through there and you get like a lot of sunlight, it's always going to be thin. It's always going to be thin. There's not a whole lot you can do about it. Cutting it higher, I mean, it helps some, but I mean, it's not going to, even that's not going to, it's going to be thinner is what I'm trying to tell you. I'm just trying to give you like level set what your expectations need to be. Like the part of your lawn, like this part here that is wide open, gets plenty of sun, like it's never going to look like that. So it may start out when you first saw it being okay, but as you get into later into the season, even like next year, it's going to over time get thinner and thinner. Like it's never going to look as good as this. And that's just like par for the course when it comes to Bermuda grass. That's the one thing you just can't have with Bermuda grass is shade. It needs all the sunlight. Like more sunlight, the better it does. All right. In many ways, I'm really fortunate because the way the house is situated, as the sun breaks the horizon, like literally the back lawn just gets blasted with sunlight up until like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And even then, the way it passes, like there's a corridor between my house and the neighbor where like there's a part of the back lawn that gets sunlight until like 6 or 7 in the afternoon. So it literally gets like full sun there's an area that gets full sun pretty much all day long. And you can tell because that part of the lawn is the last part of the lawn to go dormant in the fall. And in the springtime, it begins greening up there before anywhere else. So sunlight is super important for all grasses, but especially Bermuda grass, gotta have it. Okay, Brothers in Bitcoin is up next. He says, hey, Ron, happy Sunday. Gonna start killing off my lawn to reseed. What do you recommend to kill it? Thanks. Just if you're going to go inexpensively, just get glyphosate. Just get glyphosate, is what I would tell you. You could use something like, if you want something that's easy to mix, go to the Golf Course Lawn Store, go to shop, and then weed killer, or just go to shop and look for, actually, you know what? You can just search for Roundup because we've got it here. We have Roundup Quick Pro. This is a combination product that has glyphosate in it and diquat. So it's got 2 active ingredients. This will make quick work of burning down the Bermuda grass. What you might find is, and I'm assuming it's Bermuda, but I mean, but this will really work against any type of grass. But if you're doing Bermuda, what I would tell you is if you want like a one and done or as close to one and done that I've been able to find, is you'll take this and stack it with Fusilade 2. So get that and then get you some Fusilade 2, and this combination of Fusilade 2 and Roundup, devastating against Bermuda grass. Devastating. I mean, just it's savage what it does to Bermuda grass. Really, really good. More expensive because you are using like, a post-emergent herbicide. So if you got a really big lawn, it's a more expensive way to burn down a lawn. But if it's Bermuda, one app of glyphosate by itself is just not going to be enough. You can do one, and then really like 3 weeks later, you have to go back and do it again. And even then, you're not going to get as good control as if you do Roundup, or do glyphosate and Fusilade 2. Like that combination is money for controlling Bermuda grass. So I will, I'll give you a link to where you can find both of those in case you are so interested, Brothers in Bitcoin. And hope that helps. And if you don't have Bermuda grass, then just the Roundup will be fine. So you got like a cool season lawn and you're doing a renovation, which I imagine is what you're doing, because you wouldn't be reseeding Bermuda grass this time of year. So you got like a cool season lawn that you're going to kill off and start over, then just the Roundup, just the glyphosate and diquat, which both are in that Quick Pro product, will be fine. All right. So hope that helps. John Williams says, hit the like button, subscribe, and share, grass people. Yeah, we want Bermuda, Ron. Your zoysia is nice though, LOL. it's here's the thing. I realize that you guys are very much the Bermuda folks are not liking all those Zoysia content, so I got to balance it out quite a bit. Robert Rainey says, "Should I overseed this winter season?" I don't know, Robert. Like last year, I don't think you did it because when did you do it? You did it from 2023 to 2024, and then this year, 2024 2025, you did not overseed, right? So if you've already forgotten about the pain, then you can do it again. Because remember, the last time you did it, the lawn looked spectacular, it looked incredible. But it did take longer for the Bermuda to look really good. If memory serves me, it wasn't till like June till it really started looking somewhat decent. So as long as you're good with that next year, then you can overseed because you did set the standard. It was a thing of beauty, that ryegrass overseed. But I just want to remind you of the pain that you had, when you were done with this, as far as that goes. Because this past fall, you didn't overseed, and I think it's for that reason because you're like, man, this kind of was not great. My lawn took forever to come back. So something to consider. It's up to you. Either way. Nico's experience says, "Hey Ron, blessing seeing you. I live near the Gulf part of Florida. What do you recommend for grass seed for fall overseeding? Some say perennial ryegrass. Any feedback is appreciative. Thank you." Yeah, perennial ryegrass is what you're going to want to use. So use a grass seed blend that is largely perennial ryegrass is what folks use to overseed their Bermuda grass lawns to keep it green during the fall, during the fall and winter months. You want to be that person with the only green lawn in the neighborhood because you overseeded it, then that's the way to go about it. We have a grass seed that is, I think it's 80% ryegrass. It's got some KBG in there. So you could use this, but you may want to go with just a straight perennial ryegrass blend if you want to follow the path that most people go with when it comes to overseeding a warm season lawn like Bermuda grass with ryegrass. All right, but there's an option if you want something to look at as well. Okay, next up, I think we're almost out of comments, guys. Let's see here. John Williams says, "You should get into reef keeping, Ron. I feel you would love a great saltwater tank." No, it takes too much time, man. Like Alex has one. He had like an aquarium, and I was like, man, this is a lot of work. I mean, I see he goes and swaps the water out, and you have like all this filtration system, and then you can spend a lot of money on fish. I mean, and they eventually, let's say they eventually are going to die, but I mean, fish can be pretty expensive. So I don't need any more hobbies. I already have lawn care and martial arts and running the golf course lawn store. I don't have time really for anything else, so probably not going to do a saltwater tank. You're not the first person to tell me this though, John. Not the first time I've heard that, but probably not. Robert Rainey says, "Anyone heard from LG?" I don't know, man. LG has been quiet. I should message him and find out what he's been up to. He has been quiet. He's popped in a couple times throughout the season, but he has been quieter this year compared to years past. I would agree with you, Robert. John Williams says, "I love your yard, Ron. It's fire." I appreciate that, man. I really like it. I'm gonna show the Zoysia one more time for all my Bermuda folks that are like saying, "Man, I can't stand this Zoysia. All he talks about is this, and we came this channel for Bermuda grass. Bermuda is life. We understand. Yeah, we don't really care that you top dress it. Look at it. It's a wheat grass. It can't even grow through some sand. Bermuda would already been looking good by now." But it's okay. You guys are gonna have your own little mini project here in a little bit. A couple hours, I'll post the short of the back lawn, having it with a little how to cut change. Okay, John Smith is up next. Says, "I'm surprised to see you online, Ron. How are you?" I'm doing all right, man. I can't complain. Mowed the lawn, and living my best life, enjoying Sunday. John says, "I got that Revolution 20, and I am loving it. I'm going to take it to Real Rollers for service in the off season. Have you ever done so, and how is the process?" I have a Revolution 26, like the OG, the original one. And I'm fortunate to live fairly close to the Real Rollers. They took my mower earlier this season, brought it back, all freshened up, good to go. It's been cutting great all season. So yeah, I think you'll be happy with the work that they do. They have all the parts in case anything needs to be adjusted. Not that it should be, but in case anything needs to be done on it, they'll be able to get you all squared away to where it's cutting as good as it was the day you took it out of the box. So that's you being in Savannah. If you can make the road trip up here, then yeah, they should get you all squared away. Shouldn't be too bad. All right. And then Nico's experience says, thank you so much. Heading over to your online options. Cool, man. Yeah, take a look and see. I mean, there's tons of different options for grass seed, but that's an option you can look at as well. Again, it's that blend is like 80% perennial ryegrass. So if you don't really have an opinion, that's one you could go with as well too. All right, Brothers in Bitcoin is up next. I guess it's our last comment on the pre-emergent spectacular show. He says, thanks, Ron. Yes, cool season follow-up. What are your thoughts on rye and fescue mix for seeding? For me, so for fescue, I'd say using multiple different types of fescue is where I would lean more towards in doing rye and fescue. Rye and fescue can work, but like ryegrass and fescue look quite a bit different. Like what you tend to find more is like rye and KBG, Kentucky Bluegrass blends. Those tend to be more common. Like I'll show you like the fescue blend that we have on the golf course launcher. So if you go to shop and then soil test kits and grass seed, let me see. Yeah, so there's like a fescue blend. There's like three-way blends. There's 3 different types of fescue varieties, and there's only fescue in this. So they don't like put ryegrass in along with this. So rye and Kentucky Bluegrass, sure. But for fescue, for me, I would do a blend of different fescues, and that's what this grass is. If you're looking for a really good fescue blend with no seeds and no weeds in it, this would be an option unless you've already got something figured out, Brothers in Bitcoin. So hope that helps. Again, you can do whatever you want. I'm sure there are blends that have that are fescue blends that have ryegrass in it. But if you can get like an all fescue blend, I think that's just, in my opinion, it's going to be better overall. And you can again, you can take a look at that here if you are so interested. I'll say fescue grass acida. All right, cool. All right, man. So pretty awesome. So that's it, folks. No saved rounds. No other. Oh, John Williams, man, he sent me a cash app. Let me, John, we're about to end the show, but I got to put some respect on your name. Let me do that real quick here. I apologize. I just saw that. So there you go, sir. Your name in lights, whatever that means to you. Thanks so much. So John sent a cash app. So I want to make sure I acknowledge and respect that. Appreciate all the love and support. All right, we got Tom Hoffenkamp up next. He did have a question. He says, hey, happy Sunday, Ron. Has anyone mentioned that when you watch using a phone, that Zoysia looks the same as the Bermuda did? No, I've not heard that mentioned. Tom. But it does. I mean, I don't know. I disagree. Oh man, why did I start Final Cut up? Oh, force quit. Don't start. No, I disagree, Tom. I mean, I look at my lawn quite a bit, and you know what? One more time, guys, the Bermuda folks, please bear with me. I'm gonna do this one more time. Okay, I promise this will probably be the last time on this show we're gonna show the Zoysia. Okay, so don't get mad at me. If you look at the stripe action, like the Bermuda did not produce the definition in stripes. And this is not even a great time of day to really show these, but the definition of the stripes did not look as good with when it was Bermuda compared to now that it is Zoysia. So I respectfully disagree, Tom. I mean, the stripe action on the Zoysia is better. I mean, look at that. I mean, I think we can take a moment here, and when it ends real quick, we can pause the video and you can see that Bermuda has never had that kind of definition on the stripes compared to the Zoysia. Not saying it didn't look good. Actually, we can actually show this. So we just saw the Zoysia. If we look at the Bermuda, I can actually show you what that looked like. If you look at, let me see, I think it's under carbonized PN. You can see with the Bermuda, man, looking good there. But the front lawn, I think in here we've got a picture of the Bermuda grass lawn. Okay, so the stripe action is okay. Not quite as good, but this is it recovering. And then if you look there, like that's it looking in all its glory. The color is back. And you don't really see the stripes as prominent, not as nice as the Zoysia. Even if you go back to this guy, it's okay, but they don't pop quite as much, man. They don't pop quite as good. Don't you guys agree? Or you guys like saying, no, you wasted your time. You should just stuck with Bermuda. Bermuda was just as good. We don't know why you went to this Zoysia grass. We're tired of it. I'm sure I'll get that comment too. All right. And he says, John Williams says, appreciate that. You're welcome. And then Robert Rainey says, Berisia. So Bermuda and Zoysia. Yeah. Yeah, here's the thing. I am just really enjoying Zoysia because it's a new toy. It's like something new to play with. Remember, for 9 years, I had nothing but Bermuda. So I try to have a new grass in the line. Let me enjoy it for a little bit, man. You guys just, y'all want to play with a new toy. Y'all just like Captain Killjoy. All right, John Williams is up next to the last comment. He says, great show. We should go to 2 a week. We can start doing that. I mean, I didn't know if you guys really would want one on the weekends. So on the Sundays when I don't have anything really going on in the afternoon, we can do a Sunday live stream. We can do one on Friday like normal, like we normally do, because that's what we've kind of always done. And then on Sunday, we could do that. I think that would work well. During the week, I don't find works as well. So whenever I have to move it to like a Wednesday night or Thursday night when I have some other commitment, it tends to not work as well, especially when I'm doing it in the evening because, folks got jobs and they can't be on the live stream during then. So the weekend probably makes the most sense, and Sunday, kind of a chill way to end the weekend and get back into the start of the week. So yeah, we can see about doing it on Sundays if you guys like it. All right, and if you can attend, great. If you can't attend, you can. I get it. Just do what you can, all right? All right, well, guys, gals, I appreciate, again, all you guys taking the time to come hang out on Sunday with me, talk a little bit about turf grass and pre-emergent and keeping your lawns weed-free. Again, I highly encourage you, if you're not overseeding your lawn, consider adding pre-emergent to your lawn care program. It is one of the best decisions you can make for reducing the amount of weeds you're gonna have to fight in the fall and also next spring. We have an assortment of pre-emergents that you can find on the Golf Course Lawn Store. The pinned comment after this video will be our recent blog post all about pre-emergent on the timing of using it and options for both cool and warm season grass to help your lawn be the one that your neighbors are absolutely gonna envy. Again, thank you guys so much. I will see you guys next Friday at our normal scheduled time of 7 p.m. Eastern. Until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend and week. We'll talk then.